After watching the emotional roller coaster that was Squid Game Season 2, I came up with the most elaborate and diabolical theory for exactly what happens next. I'm about to take you on a thrilling ride filled with heartbreaking deaths, unexpected betrayals, and show you how a character that you thought was dead is actually alive. My theory is one that completely changes the trajectory of the story, and it's based on hidden details you missed, as well as information from the cast and the director himself. This is everything we'll see in the third and final season of Squid Game. So what do we know for sure? Season 2 ended in a gut-wrenching cliffhanger, with Gi-hun leading a group of players to rebel against the guards with the end goal of stopping the games from the inside. Player 1, which we know is actually the front man, double-crosses Gi-hun and forces him to pay dearly for the insurrection. He executes Ji-man's closest friend right in front of him, the same friend from Season 1 who would bet on horses with him. Ji-hun is restrained, and this is where Season 2 ends. Honestly, Gohan should have known better than to trust Player 1, especially after what happened to him last time with Il-nam. He didn't learn his lesson after getting absolutely bamboozled by Il-riz. We know Season 3 will take place during this same round of games because there are still 3 out of 6 games we haven't seen yet, and there's no way the VIPs are going home without what they came to see. So this leads to the big question. What happens next? The games continue. The final season will begin exactly where Season 2 left off, with a vote deciding whether or not to continue the games, and the O's are at a massive advantage. Not only were more X's taken out during the fighting at night, but several players who were X's were taken out during the rebellion. The remaining players will undoubtedly vote to continue the games, and now the prize pool is much higher, with the overnight fighting and the players who died in the rebellion. Many fans are convinced the train track game teased in the credits could actually be a flashback to the 2015 edition of the games, the round of games where Inho was the winner. Starting off the final season with a flashback would give a significant backstory on the frontman, who's hands down the most enigmatic and fascinating character in the whole series. This scenario is very likely, as many fans are dying to know what exactly made him want to leave the game. Did he really abandon all hope in humanity, or did something or someone force him to become the front man? 2. Get ready to cry. Just like in Season 1, I'm certain there's going to be games where the players must directly eliminate each other, being just as dark and morbid as the Marbles game. Without Jae-hoon to warn them about this, I believe the players will partner up based on who they like the most, which will only magnify the upcoming heartbreak. I believe MG Coin will be forced to compete against his ex-girlfriend, most likely sacrificing himself for her and their unborn baby. I'm certain the mother and son will be pinned against each other, as well as Hyunju and Daeho. Another agonizing possibility is that the train track game is actually the Squid Game version of the trolley problem, where players must choose to sacrifice one person to save several, with the one person most likely being the one they care about the most. What if instead the front man forces Ji-hoon to decide who to save in an effort to break his spirit? I could definitely see the front man tampering with the games to ensure the people Ji-hoon cares about the most are taken out. Sacrificing the few for the sake of the majority has already been a rapidly growing theme in the show, and this would make for an incredibly sadistic punishment round. This makes perfect sense, as the front man must have a motive for keeping Ji-hoon alive, and the VIPs will want to see him suffer for starting the rebellion. We learned from Season 1 that all of the games are actually depicted in the bunk room, and based on the art on the walls for Season 2, we can expect a game similar to Monkey Bars, along with something that looks similar to chess. Let me know what you think these games could be in the comments. Player 24046 is not dead. Player 2404046 is the artist with the sick daughter. A multitude of fans are convinced he'll make a comeback in Season 3 because of the way he was taken down during the rebellion. There's a hidden detail here that's easy to miss, but has some major implications. The guard who shot player 246 is most likely number 11, the same woman who went to visit his daughter at the hospital. At first the weapon is aimed at his heart, but then it moves away in what looks like a subtle act of mercy. I don't believe he was shot fatally, and guard number 11 will most likely try to rescue him from the organ trader. This will undoubtedly cause a fight among the guards, who've already attacked her before because she interfered with the trade. I imagine guard number 11 will somehow force the organ traders to release player 246, and they'll work together to free Gohan. But this theory gets even more insane. Number 4? Unexpected betrayal. I am beyond convinced that the front man will betray the organization, and there's a ridiculous amount of evidence for this. We know that Inho cared deeply for his wife, to the point where he felt hopeless after she passed away. He intentionally spared Junho's life on the island while not raising suspicion. And I'm going to take this even further and say that Inho ordered the sea captain to find Junho's body immediately after he had fallen off the cliff. What are the odds a random boat steered by a captain who already works for the frontman would just happen to find Junho's body at the perfect time? The frontman orchestrated this, and I believe deep down he still cares for his deceased wife, his mom, and his brother, which means that his sense of humanity is still there. Also, I'm convinced that the frontman was the original creator of the organ trading happening throughout the games. We learned his wife passed away from liver disease since Junho visited her grave, and we know her death was devastating to Inho. What if even after winning the games and having all that money, Inho was still unable to save his wife and baby since no one would donate a liver? This experience must have twisted him. When he realized that no one was willing to sacrifice themselves for an expecting mother, he stopped believing in humanity's benevolence. This justified his new mindset of viewing gamblers and people in large debt as less than human, which then made it easier for him to set the games up so that players who get eliminated can be used to harvest their organs. Maybe Ino began working for the games at first with the end goal of getting his wife a liver from one of the eliminated players. Or maybe it was too late when he joined and he wanted to save others from facing the same fate. This theory makes a lot of sense. Inho losing his wife despite his efforts explains why during the relay race he slapped himself and called himself useless. Inho feels like a failure for letting his wife pass away. Based on how he handled the doctor who conspired with the guards in Season 1, maybe the frontman no longer believes in this, but I'm sure he was the first one to start the organ trade. After all, you don't just happen to have a false drop inside the incinerators. This was done intentionally and required a lot of money. This would also explain why Inho stayed in the games. He wanted to find a liver for his wife, but after she died, he felt he had no reason to go home. Whether Inho joined the games again to save his wife or continued the organ trade to save others, he still carries hope for humanity inside him. The director of Squid Game stated that Inho and Gi-hun represent opposite views when it comes to whether or not humanity is worth saving. I believe Inho will try to break Gi-hun's spirit and get him to abandon hope in mankind, but this will actually backfire. Ji-hun's conviction that people are worth saving is stronger. Inho has a curious fixation on Ji-hun and his philosophy, and this is because Inho sees a part of himself in Ji-hun. The frontman is clearly open to the idea of believing in humanity again, and I believe G-Man will be the one to bring back the man who felt enough empathy to donate his kidney to his brother. The absolute climax of the show could be the frontman choosing to set off the explosives mentioned in Season 1 without alerting the VIPs, taking everyone and everything down along with him. So why would he do this? The VIPs don't appear to let him into their circle, and we can see a clear disconnect from him when he interacts with them, almost as if he's holding back his resentment for them. The frontman is no stranger to betrayal. I believe Ji-hun will force Inho to have a change of heart, but after everything he's done, I don't believe the frontman will make it out of the finale alive. Number 5. The games will be shut down. This is one of two possible endings. Ji-hun Everdeen will put an end to the Hunger Games. The finale will come to a close with Junho locating the island and rescuing the remaining players. The Squid Game Avengers will seize control of the island, with the absolute peak moment of the final season being Ji-hun deciding the fate of the frontman and maybe even the VIPs too. It's possible Ji-hun will stubbornly show mercy and he'll give out his prize money to the families that suffered losses from the Squid Games. I could see the show ending with Gi-man visiting his mother's grave when he receives a call from an unknown number. This immediately triggers him into a panic, suspecting it's the organizers of the game again. Instead, it's his daughter who says Gi-hun finally feels worthy to face his daughter and has a look of true happiness on his face as it cuts to black. This would be a wholesome way to end the series, but it's not what I believe will happen. Hein-soo? I'm certain the conclusion to the show will be far more sinister. Number 6. Gi-hun becomes the front man. During an interview with Jimmy Fallon, the actor who plays Ji-hun was asked if he'll become the next front man and or be in charge of the games, and he said both yes and no. What if after taking control of the island, Ji-hun forces the VIPs and the guards to compete against each other with no real odds of winning? A cruel and twisted ending like this would be fitting with the themes of the show. Ji-hun has already shown his sense of humanity slipping away, giving his willingness to overlook the death of several players during the fighting at night, viewing them as a necessary sacrifice. It's also possible that Ji-hun wins the games a second time, but after watching everyone around him get eliminated again, he becomes twisted and broken. This would be the worst case scenario. The games continue, Ji-hun loses faith in humanity, and history repeats 8/21 itself, with Ji-hun becoming the next frontman. So, What does this mean? In-ho succeeds in breaking Jae-hoon's spirit, but not forever. Guard number 11 and player 246 regroup with Jun-ho and the military guys to rescue Gi-hoon. After taking control of the island, either Gi-hoon decides to show mercy on the frontman and the VIPs, or he takes a dark and irreversible turn for the worse. Number 7. The Bitter End. Just like Il-nan, both Ji-hoon and In-ho put their ambitions above being with their family. I believe this level of disregard for their loved ones means they're destined to follow the same fate as Elriz, to die alone. Given everything the front man has done, there's zero chance of him making it out alive. If Ji-hoon goes down the same dark path, I imagine he would also follow the same fate. With the happy ending being unlikely, maybe Ji-hoon and In-ho will sacrifice themselves to take down the games. In a nut-busting twist, what if the series ends with Ji-hoon discovering that the games are actually taking place around the world and that he only put an end to one edition of the games in one country? Maybe a spin-off series follows Ji-hoon becoming a frontman as a way of taking down the international games from the inside. I want to know what you think. How do you want the most watched show on Netflix of all time to end? Hit me with your wildest fan theory in the comments and check out one of these delicious videos.